There's only one person in the world I'd rather be with, but I'm stuck with you three. We are here. Welcome to the Coaches Huddle via the four-man front. I am here with my man, Ryan G. Hensley, Jesse Naylor, and Grant Cohn, and we're here for our regular weekly spot of the four-man front, which is now hosted on my channel this week. How are you guys doing? How's everybody doing?
Good. Who's the one person you'd rather be with?
That's the
my mother.
Okay. That's fair.
The Lord. Yeah. Hey, look, so let's get into it, guys. Obviously, there's a lot of topics going on. We're not dead yet. The Niners are not dead yet, says a lot of people, but I know that there's some other opinions out there. But let's just get to right when the Niners finally had a glimmer of hope, some faith, dare I say, feeling good after a win. It was short-lived. Immediately, we get a tweet from our illustrious leader, Tyshawn Samuel, and we get a tweet basically saying, hey, I'm not struggling. It's because I'm not getting the ball. After a big one, Deebo Samuel, one of the team's captains, chose to engage in Twitter drama instead of celebrating with his team. What does that say about his leadership? Is he truly embodying the qualities of a captain, or is he more focused on personal battles? Let's get into it. I'm going to start with Jesse. How do you feel about this?
Man, I've kind of gone back and forth on this whole thing. First of all, Twitter community notes for the win. I thought that was hilarious that they put him in a body bag over that tweet. They're like, actually, we checked our community notes. He is, in fact, struggling. He has a lot of drops. So, I don't know. I think coming out on Twitter and then really, I think the worst part of the whole thing is that he gaslit everybody an hour later and was like, guys, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. You be for real. I'm just saying. I mean, I can't speak my mind here. And then he deletes the tweet. But then today, it's like I saw him talk, and it's like, man, why can't you do this more, Deebo? Like, he's got a big smile. He's open. He's talking with the media. He's having a good time. It's like, man, this is probably the Deebo Samuel that the team loves. But it's the other Deebo that we see on a regular basis, and it is kind of like, man, who are you really? But I want to say this too. I want to point this out. Not so much what Deebo said today, but what everybody around him said. And I don't know if you guys get this feeling, but I get the feeling that Deebo is the player that everybody has to tiptoe around and prop up. Otherwise, he just falls off a cliff, and you can't get him to respond and do what he needs to do. You listen to the way that Brock talked about him. He's like, oh, he's one of my best friends. I'm like, bro, you guys don't hang out. I'm sorry. I highly doubt they hang out. So, oh, he's one of my best friends. Kittle. Oh, I mean, yeah, Deebo, he's just going to have a big game. I'm telling you right now, he's going to have a big game. And then Kyle's like, yeah, well, we talk all the time, and we're always talking about targets. And it's like, guys, quit. Like, everybody has to go out of their way to prop up Deebo. Otherwise, they might lose him for this big game on Thursday mentally, and they can't have that. That's the feeling I get. That's a little weird to me.
Ryan.
Yeah, I think Deebo is just a little out of his element. It's like if you put me on the track and we're like, Ryan, run the 100-meter dash, and then I run it slow, and you guys are like, why aren't you running the 100-meter dash quickly? You should be running the 11. Like, that's not Deebo's out. Deebo's not a natural born leader. He's just not. I think he's voted captain because of the player he was. So that's where he gains his popularity, but he's not made to handle these situations, especially now you see him struggling, not himself. It's hard for him to deal with, and it's never been his strength. So I really think that's what you see with Deebo whenever he's in these kind of positions. He's a little social awkward. He's just not a natural born speaker or leader, or has a real good grasp of how to express his thoughts. Probably should have left that one in the drafts and not hit send. But that's kind of Deebo, man. I just don't think this, you can't expect Deebo to act like Fred Warner. It's not who he is.
I agree with that. I think we got to acknowledge that Deebo's having a bad year. He's been sort of acting out kind of all year. I mean, it started out, just a few weeks ago, he got into it with the long snapper. I think what happened is a lot of people got their futures secured this offseason. He was not one of them. He had to do a restructure, just like Javon Hargrave had to do recently. And they did that so they could possibly release him this upcoming season as a post-June 1 cut. He knows that this is probably his last year here. And I think he's been acting like it. You got guys like Diamador Lenore who are freaking excited, ecstatic to be here, giving team speeches, and Deebo Samuel's complaining after wins. I mean, he's putting his hands on long snappers in the fourth quarter while they're winning. It's all about him. And I mean, maybe that makes him a diva, or maybe that's just a situation the Niners created. It's like, you knew you weren't going to bring him back. You knew he was in this lame duck year while everyone else got taken care of. What do you think he was going to do? Maybe you should have just traded him. I mean, for months they were exploring trades with him. They might have been able to get a 3rd round pick for him or a 4th round pick. Now they're going to have it make him a post June 1 cut, which means they'll be feeling the effects of his absence in 2026. But he's got to go.
I agree.
Talk about that real quick. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. No, what I was basically going to go ahead, Jesse. Go ahead.
I was just going to talk about the cut. To me, and this is why a couple shows ago we talked about, I think it was on Grant's show 2 weeks ago, when are the 49ers going to win their next playoff game? And the reason I said 2027 that season was because I knew the 49ers were going to do this. They're going to do a bunch of cuts, not a bunch of cuts, but a couple cuts, Hargrave, Deebo, probably, maybe someone else. And they're going to do this post-June 1 crap, which means they're going to take massive cap hits in 2026. It's going to hold the roster down for a year that it doesn't need to.
Void years.
And Armstead, you got people who don't realize $20 million for Armstead coming up in 2025. They're not done with that.
Yep.
Post-June 1.
Yeah, so to me, it's like, if you're going to make these cuts, just rip the Band-Aid off, take it on the chin 1 year, be done with it, and then in 2026, you can really turn a corner and be competitive and have all the money in the world, but that's not what they're going to do. They're going to try to be competitive this year and then be competitive the next year, and they keep kicking the can down the road instead of just take a year, take it on the chin, move on, and then be ready to compete for real instead of this half in, half out BS. This is what the Saints continuously did, and they always thought they were competitive and they were close and all that. It's like, you were close-ish, you were good when you had Drew Brees, but you weren't. Those final few years with Drew Brees, nobody thought you were winning a Super Bowl, even though you were winning 11 games, 12 games.
And they had 3 straight years where they were 7-9.
Serious.
3 straight years. The thing about it is that we got purgatory standing on the side of us right now. We don't make hard decisions, and hard decisions fast. Deebo Samuel is just emblematic of that. I do understand right now, if they let him go, they stand to take on just about a $40 million cap penalty by letting him go early. But honestly, I would take it. Me and Jesse were on the phone talking about it before, and I was kind of scared of the number. But I'm much more afraid of void years. Like, we got to be able to just go ahead and just rip the Band-Aid off when it comes to the Deebo situation. Also, just what the beginning of this topic stands for is like, is he a captain? You know, what is his presence doing for the growth of this team, right? How are we transitioning and moving forward as a team if he's the representation of what we have as a captain on the team? It just seemed as though that it was just a little bit more attention not being put on Deebo, and we had a win, and I felt like he started feeling the eyes on him, where it's like, we won without you, and you played the entire game and you didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? And you felt inclined to speak up to say, hey, it's not because I'm not better, I'm not getting the ball, but it's like, dude, you're 3rd on the team in targets. Like, what are you talking about?
Isn't AJ Brown essentially doing the same stuff in Philly?
Yes.
They're winning, they're running the ball, he's got a problem. It's like, wide receivers, man, you love them.
Yeah,
they're like best friends, those two. So
yep.
Yeah. You know, it's just funny to me. And, you know, I agree with the sentiment in the beginning of the topic, is that I do believe that Deebo is enabled. You don't have a pro this long you don't have a pro that's been in the league this long who's never had an awakening or a wake-up call unless he's enabled. It's just flat out.
One more thing. The fact that the way this year has played out, we're almost in 2025. The way it started with Deebo getting 11 targets in the Super Bowl and catching 3. It's still unfathomable, but I think it's even crazier in retrospect. Like, how did that happen? And would the Niners have won if those targets had gone to Kittle and Jennings?
Yeah. I think the cherry on top is him. The cherry on top is him actually saying that I'm not getting the ball enough while you're top 3 on the team and getting the ball. That's insane to me.
The same as the last 2 years as well, right? So
who do you think is going to sign him this offseason?
Say that again?
Who do you think is going to sign him this offseason when he gets cut? I mean, in retrospect, Trent Baalke signing Eric Armstead was predictable. Who do you think is going to sign Deebo?
Who does he sign with?
Miami?
No, the Commanders.
They can't afford him.
He probably signed with the
Commanders.
Commanders.
I don't think so.
Interesting.
No.
Okay.
I don't think Adam Peters.
Is it going to be someone who knows him? Because with Armstead, Baalke drafted him.
You know who's becoming like the new Marvin Smith, the new Marvin Smith of the league? Not Marvin Smith, Marvin Lewis of the league. Mike Tomlin. He might go to the Steelers. Mike Tomlin may get Deebo to play right.
Yeah, Deebo would respect Mike Tomlin. I don't think Deebo would do this. That's a good call. And they're so desperate for a wide receiver.
Yeah. I think they pick him up, and you know how they've always kind of too. Yeah, and they always do have kind of like that tough receiver, that Hines Ward, that Randall.
They made it work with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was certifiable. But on the Steelers, he was a perennial All-Pro. And I'm not saying Deebo's that, so maybe.
All right. The next time I get in an argument with my girl, I'm going to call her certifiable. See if I smooth. You're being really certifiable right now. You're acting very certifiable. Let's move into the next topic, guys. Off-season breakdown. I've given each of you a role, all right? And what we need to do is we need to shapen up the 49ers. We need to get them together. They're a mess, all right? How we're going to break this down is I've given each of you a segment of the offseason to take control of for the season. Let's see how we do as a team, gentlemen. All right? So, Grant, you're going to start off with player cuts. The season's over. We need to get rid of some dead weight. We need to trim the fat, all right? After we get rid of cuts, Ryan, I'm going to have you get to free agency. After we get rid of these bozos, we got to get some more suckers in the building. All right. That's up to you. And draft is up to Jesse. Let's get the young and dumbs in here. All right. So we can get this thing on the right track. Grant, start breaking some hearts. Exit meetings. Who are you cutting?
Before the game against the Bears, I had a list of 10 players I would cut. But I would like to adjust my list because that game happened. And, for example, I had Malik Collins, Leonard Floyd, and Yatir Gross-Matos all on the list of people to cut. Like, what have you done? Mm-hmm. They did something. So now they're off the list to cut. They may be, worthwhile pieces on this team next year. I'd like to see a little bit more from them. Leonard Floyd's definitely been on fire the last month or so, in particular. And Yatir Gross-Matos just got healthy. So I'd like to see them. Malik Collins, I'm a little on the fence about. He doesn't – we'll see about Malik. But I think for sure we don't have to belabor the point. Deebo, it's over. Javon Hargrave, clearly. Kyle Juszczyk, I think that's an important one for Kyle Shanahan to do. Like, we need to see you make some business decisions with your friends. I know you really like this guy, and you're like, probably know his wife and his family, but you got to cut him. And Jake Brendel. I mean, enough of these older players. This is an old team. It's time to get a new center. George Odom, an older special teams guy, getting paid significant money. And then Mitch Wisnowski, you're a punter on IR with a bad back in your 30s. You got to go. And Jake Moody, you can't trust him to make any kick that matters, whether it's a extra point or, a field goal or a kickoff. Apparently that's an issue now for him too.
or kicking. Just
in general.
Using the foot to get contact with the ball seems to be a bridge too far. Grant, that was good. I took notes. We're all sitting here. Now, let's move into free agency. All right, Ryan, let me just give you your cuts so far. I want to help you out. We've got Javon Hargraves. All right, we got Deebo, Juice, Jake Brendel, George Odom, Mitch Wisnowski, and Jake Moody. Was that your list, Grant?
Yes.
Let's go, man.
Okay. All right, I'm not going to have a replacement for all those players. I want a lot of those to go to Jesse, but here's the two big ones that I see his opportunity. Drew Dahlman from the Atlanta Falcons is the perfect center for this run, the outside run scheme that Kyle Shanahan likes to to dial up, and that will be a huge improvement over Jake Brendel, and he's available in free agency this coming draft. So that is a guy that I would like to see the 49ers get. And then they have an opportunity. Again, I think this season is about getting younger, and so I don't want to fill the entire team with a bunch of has-beens, but Malcolm Kuntz from the Raiders is going to be a free agent. He suffered a season-ending knee injury before the season, and therefore he's going to be pretty damn affordable. If he wasn't injured, he might be one of the hottest free agents coming up right now. But since he was injured, I think the 49ers could take a flyer on Malcolm Kuntz, sign him to like a one-year deal, and get him for fairly inexpensive, and hopefully he can make a difference in this coming season. So those are the two guys that I would like to see the 49ers make an effort to get. And then, of course, their own free agents. I really think they should bring back Huff as well as Drake Greenlaw. Those are the four major free agent moves I like to see the 49ers make.
I like that, Ryan. I like that. We don't need to get too. I mean, even when we were at our best, we weren't really big on free agency. It's not something that winning teams necessarily do. I mean, if they do, they basically get guys that are super leveraged and coming in to be a one piece to come in. You know, you look at us picking up Emmanuel Sanders in 2019, us finishing off the season with Charles Omenihu later in the year. So I like that. Kind of gets us back to our roots. Jesse, we have moved into the draft. Take us home, dude. What do we need to get? What is the burning positions that need to be on this roster? And what do you have for us?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've written off the season a while ago, but I haven't started to dig into major prospects. So I'm not going to give you names of prospects per se, but I am going to give you positions to look out for. So we know we need to get a kicker. I'm absolutely not drafting a kicker. I'm letting you know right now. There's going to be about 10 kickers that come out of college that will be unrestricted free agents. I'll figure it out after the draft. One of those guys will end up on the team. I will take a quarterback at some point, but I'm not doing it before probably round 3, like at the earliest, maybe round 4. And I do think they're going to need another running back at some point. But again, that's not going to happen before round 4. That's probably going to be round 5 or maybe even a UDFA. So I'm going offensive line and defensive line, literally the whole draft outside of those two positions that I named, depending on who becomes available. The 49ers have to get young in the trenches. They have to get stout in the trenches. They have to change their philosophy. I'm not drafting a wide receiver. I'm not anybody that doesn't play. The further away you are from the ball on the field is the least likely I'm going to draft you. If you're a skill position player, you're probably not getting drafted by the 49ers this year. It's all about the trenches. We talked about O-line last year's draft, and yes, it was a little frustrating. They basically only came away with Pooney that ended up working out. Bo Limmer was there. I'm going to keep saying that until I'm blue in the face. But I also do want to point out, I think the biggest shock was they didn't take a freaking defensive lineman. Every single one of us have said that at some point. It's like, wow, you didn't take any defensive linemen? No depth there? They have to get young and stout in the trenches. So for me, offensive line, defensive line, that's where a majority of my picks are going.
I'm not mad at that.
Can I do one more, Coach?
Sure.
I would like to see them extend Ben Bartch now. While I know he's on the IR, but he's shown me that they could probably get him cheap and give him another year on the 49ers because he's a free agent after this year also. So Ben Bartch, to me, would be great to keep on for next year because Banks is probably going to be gone.
Well, honestly, even if Banks is gone, I'd like to see what Ben Bartch can do as center. I mean, I don't even understand why we weren't even trying to make that happen when before he went down, or even when Aaron Banks and Trent was still on the field. I mean, it just seems as though that they're very kind of bought into what they think works, and there's not any real ingenuity that's been happening this year. Let's get to some super chats real quick, guys. Sir Cash Money, $20. Thank you. I know we all want to QC for the offense or defense, but who will take up the mantle to QC our cheer squad? Cheer squads are the foundation of any organization. We cannot succeed without a solid foundation. Who's with me? Who wants to cheer up the cheer squad?
I feel like I think
Gold Rush.
Cash Money just volunteered himself. I mean, he ended it with the "Who's with me." Wow.
don't think the Niners are lacking for cheerleaders. They got a lot.
Should we break down the Gold Rush? Critique them and have a show just about that? I think it's a good idea.
No, the Gold Rush is the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Nah, they can rush their ass where they be. Stay away from me. We ain't rushing nothing. Rob Paver, who knows Deebo better, Just Hilarious or the team? By the way, watching the 4-seed emotional roller coaster y'all been this season has made up for the subpar performances. Cheers, ladies. Hashtag Grant and the baby Grant's crew. Yo, you guys are hilarious.
Thanks, Rob.
Gammon Brown, where are the festive holiday hats and sweaters? I don't know, but the month's not over. I'm sure somebody's going to do something, or none of us will do anything. Gammon, $2. Ha ha! L'chaim. Did any of you be team up with a charity? Did any of you team up with a charity for Christmas?
No, I'll do charity streams throughout the year. Like if something hits, like when the hurricanes hit, stuff like that. But I don't usually do things for Christmas. I don't know. Adopt a family maybe, but that's tough to do like through YouTube.
I'll do all your guys' shows that week.
It's a good idea, Gammon. I hadn't thought of that. I like
It's a very good idea.
Yeah. Who did you team up with, Gammon? I'd love to know because I now need inspiration.
Yeah, it's kind of like a nice question, but kind of a dickhead question to ask on the spot. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice, Gavin, but it's kind of like, yeah, so what'd you get your wife for Christmas? As your wife is sitting there with a diamond ring, it's just like, Uggs, you fucking dick. So
I think for me, like, again, like I said, I'll do a charity. I do a couple of charity streams throughout the year. The Christmas thing, it's like, it's so cliche. It's like everybody wants to help for Christmas. Like, if you want to help, just help throughout the year. I don't know. That's my thought process.
That's true, man. I help too. I try. Dave Barclay, if you were the owner, what is your first move, and why is it fire Lyle? Is it because he's complete dog water and has zero development in his own games, or because he's trash and can't develop players, not head coach? He's actually walking us into our next player.
Let's pump the brakes on fire Kyle for a second. He just had his best coached game in like a long time. Let's see if he can do it 2 times. I'm open-minded. Let's see if he can beat the Rams. Let's see if he. This is a new Kyle. I'm liking Kyle this week. He may start annoying me again in a few days, but right now, I feel like Kyle's turned the corner and he's like, let his ego go a little bit, which is something he needed to do. Maybe I'm projecting. I feel like he started to let it go a little bit, and I like it.
What if he overfeeds Deebo on Thursday? Do you guys think that's
fire him?
Dude, if he listen, if he
that's the test. That is the test. No joke. That's the test.
To be honest with you, dog, if Deebo and Kyle Jack and Rose it off the Titanic for this last game, I'm telling you, dude, if like Kyle's like, you know what? Stay on the bed frame. I'll give you as many targets as possible. Like, bro. And we watched this team die with Deebo having like 8 targets for 2 catches for 38 yards. Dog, it's going to be like, you have to split them up now. Like, really.
Kyle will lose everyone. But, I mean, what he did against the Bears was just so good. Actually, though, the 5 carries for Deebo, that was about 5 too many. Can we just stop?
Okay.
2 yards a carry. Please.
Can we talk about this real quick?
Yeah.
How many of us are, by show of hands, are absolutely tired of Deebo Samuel touching the ball from the backfield in any shape, form, or fashion?
I think Deebo would raise his hand. I think Deebo would raise his hand on that one. I think he wants more targets.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
Tough.
It doesn't work, bro. How many more end arounds are we going to have to watch as he meanders down the line of scrimmage? He's bumbling. He's stumbling. He's moving up the line of scrimmage. Like, it's so bad, bro. Like, I feel like it's leather helmet days when he's running the ball on that end around. I keep hearing, like, the music in the background. So, look, moving into the next topic. Let's get a couple of more super chats out of the way real quick. Poppy Mark, you know what Chick-fil-A and Deebo have in common? They both ain't never open on Sundays. With that being said, Grant, let me get a Fernando, baby.
Fernando.
at all times. We got 2 more guys. Deshaun DeVoe. Sorry if the kid from Boise State. If the kid from Boise State is there, I may have to think about drafting him with CMC hurt. He'll be a great piece for the future.
Talking about Ashton Genty.
Yeah, Ashton Genty with not what we got in our backfield now. We don't need a bell cow. That's the
what team do you think's gonna sign Jordan Mason? Watch me go to Minnesota.
I would have said Baltimore, but
Aaron Jones gonna be a free agent.
Commanders. I'm gonna say Commanders again. You may think I'm just being funny, but Commanders
could be.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got a lot of money to spend.
Knows them.
And what will be crazy is that whoever picks up JP, in my opinion, they're not even going to try to get him to be a bell cow. They're going to get him to be used how he should have been used. Yeah, I can see him getting picked up in Atlanta with Raheem Morris, with Bijan out there, with Bijan Robinson. I could see that, like him being that change of pace guy. Dallas, but I don't want him to go to Dallas. They're just going to use him.
So good.
He would look good.
Him and Rico be good together. Dallas is a good call.
He almost kind of looks good. I can see him in the uniform too. That kind of sucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Looking like Marion Barber out there.
Hell yeah.
Arizona, possibly too.
Yeah.
No, they just re-signed. What's his name?
Connor.
Yeah.
But still, he'd be good with them.
Yeah.
All
right.
Now he's gonna lose him.
Definitely. Last super chat that we got so far. Master Any Craft. Niners need to draft the QB from Penn State. Thoughts, Alar? 6'5", big arm, probably going to go in the second round. He's accurate, but I just don't think he's going to be around for anybody, for us, honestly. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he'll be gone before we start thinking about it.
Definitely. Okay,
he's
dead. All right, I'll give you that. Let's move on to the next. Let's move into the next super chat.
Hey, here's the question. Does he need any development whatsoever?
Yes.
We're not getting him. He's not coming. It's not happening. Yeah. I like the way you shut that down. All right. Let's go mid-season heat check. With the season winding down, is it time to address major concerns? I'm going to ask all 3 of you to question major concerns about how you would feel about the team from different perspectives. All right. Grant, I want you to give your assessment of how you feel about the season and what are your major concerns as Kyle Shanahan. Jesse, I want you to do the same as Jed York. And Ryan, I would like you to do the same as the locker room, the team. So we'll start with Grant first. You're Kyle Shanahan. What are you concerned about thus far? What have you seen that worries you about moving into next season? And how is that going to shape the actions that you're going to take moving forward?
Well, we invested so much in the previous core of the team, the core that was carrying us from 2021 to 2023. McCaffrey, Trent, Deebo, Ayuk, Bosa, I mean, all these guys, and it's like I'm not really sure that they're going to be the core moving forward. Like the core moving forward is Purdy, Lenore, Jennings, Kittle, he doesn't seem to be slowing down. Warner, but there's so many guys who are paid big bucks who I'm not getting the best out of anymore. And I feel like we're this team in transition where I want to sort of turn it over to the younger guys and have a more fresh, optimistic feel around here. But there's these malcontents that we're committed to, and it's not just malcontents. It's like, okay, Deebo doesn't want to be here. We can cut him, but like, what do we do with Christian? What am I supposed to do with him the next 3 years? Like, do I put him in a rotation? How do I tell the Yorks that we're spending $20 million a year for a running back who can run the ball 10 times a game? I mean, I that's what I'm concerned about going forward. I like Brock. We work well together. We got a lot of good talent on this team, but I think I may have screwed up with the salary a little bit, the salary cap, the structure of our future. And I don't know how to fix it. Jesse was saying earlier that we should take, all the cap hits now, and so we could bounce back in 2026. I don't know how to tell the fan base that. And since we didn't win the Super Bowl, people could get fired if we do that. I think the expectation in the organization and the fan base is that we're going to be good next year. And guys, I'm not certain that we will. And that makes me nervous.
Ryan, speaking as a locker room, what are you feeling this season? What are your concerns?
I think for a lot of these guys, like let's start off with the obvious one, Brock Purdy. What's going to be on his mind is this contract coming up and how those negotiations are going to go. So that's going to be his thing. Do they believe in me? Do they not believe in me? Are they going to offer me what I think I deserve? Is it going to be a hard negotiation? Those things. Then you got the older players, the Kyle Juice checks. Are they going to be around next year? Are they going to move on? The Deebo Samuels, are they going to move on? And then I think when you're one of the younger players, you're wondering if you're even going to get an opportunity based on how past seasons have gone, including this season, to earn your playing time based off meritocracy and not roster politics. I think that's a concern probably some of these younger guys have, like the Isaac Reynolds of the world. Okay, great. Jordan Mason is going to be gone. I'll have an opportunity, but will I even how many touches I'm going to get per game? 2? I think that's the concern for these younger dudes.
Opportunity.
Definitely. I understand that meritocracy has to be something that's really looked out for in this team, because that's something that we didn't really have to worry about in years past, right? It seemed as though that the most upstanding players on the team were the best players on the team, and we never really had to worry about some of the best players on the team not necessarily being some of the best leaders. That is something that has always worried me about this team. Just kind of circling back to Grant as being Kyle is, man, how do you build a culture outside of being friends with these guys? I mean, it's almost kind of like it's almost like the secret's out. You're a regular dude now, all right? You can't friend your way or like your way to getting productivity out of your players. What are you going to do, Kyle?
Well, I'm going to do this as like the Kyle that I want him to be. You know, I'm about 45 now. And if I were to get fired from this job and get hired somewhere else, I would do a lot of things differently. You know, I was pretty young when I got this job, and I made some mistakes. I mean, I got really close to certain players, really close. And I admit it's made my job harder. It's made this year harder because it's Juszczyk knows it's his last year. Deebo knows it's his last year. And I got to deal with them and because I need them. This team isn't that good. While I'm also trying to transition over to Purdy and Lenore and younger players leading the team, players that are actually going to be here. And it's a really hard balancing act to pull off. And I created this mess. It's hard. So I don't really have the answers, but I know that I would do things differently in the future.
Collectively, do you see that in Kyle? Do you see him kind of struggling with him kind of getting rid of all of the relationships and kind of the infrastructure that he set up to survive on this team, to not only be the best he could be as a head coach, but be respected as the man? And now that he's pushing 50, right? He's in his mid 40s. He's starting to realize, like, I don't need to do half of the stuff that I've been doing just to get this team to move. And quite frankly, half of it's holding me back. Are you seeing him shed it a little bit?
I want to say that his loss, the way I think those 2 losses on the road kind of broke him down a little bit. Like, he had such arrogance and smugness that was off-putting, that he hadn't really earned, that no one should really have. And then he lost those 2 games. And someone, I think it was Jesse, asked me like what he looked like after the game. He looked small. He looked like literally smaller than he ever had. And I feel like that was almost like his ego leaving his body. Like, man, I got to stop with these, petty fights about who's playing and who shouldn't play, or what I should do and what I shouldn't do, and just take some suggestions, get over myself, and do what's best for this team this year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just the Bears, and he's going to revert and give Deebo 15 targets on Thursday night. But I want to say, like, maybe we've finally seen Kyle Shanahan release his ego a little bit. And if that's the case, like, I'm open-minded again. He's very talented, but his ego is what stops him from being a champion. So that's what I'm looking for with him.
Go ahead, Brian.
On a couple things real quick with that. Like, to your first question, like, he has to be learning from it because he has made his job harder, right? Like, having to deal with those relationships and come to grips with, hey, I might have to cut this dude and he's my good friend. Like, that's a forced learning process. Like, he's gonna feel that if he has to cut Deebo, if he has to cut Juice, and that will.
And he has to.
And he has to. And then to Grant's other point, like, bringing in Kubiak after those 2 losses, that's
Good point.
That's kind of telling, right? Like
Humbling.
He's like,
humbling.
help me out.
Gary.
Yeah.
Help
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
What do you see? What do you
Yeah.
think?
And I like that. And obviously all of us have been in positions of leadership outside of this stuff, especially when it comes to like business and having people that look up to you. And it is weird, being a young leader and not knowing how to like deal with men and get them to respect you. And the truth is that you are thrusted into a position that you want, but you don't want to be hated for wanting the position. So you do kind of overextend yourself because you want the goal to work so badly. And you do understand that my name is on this. So I don't care what it looks like on the back end, as long as on the front end it works. And I think Kyle's starting to understand that you got to start in the back end first before you get the front end results. And, it's hard to say. I mean, come on, think about it, man. Some of the hardest people to get to stop doing the things, gambling or drugs or criminals, is some of the people that were the best at it, right? And how do you get somebody to straighten up and kind of fly right and get away from all of the things that have gotten them success, fraudulently in some aspects, as Grant goes through a type 5 hurricane over there. You all right, buddy?
Sorry. I just thought it would be better if I was closer to this. So
Okay. That's
Sorry,
fine.
I just wanted to make it look better because you look so great in that. Don't mind me. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be distracting. That was
36 minutes in, decided he wanted to change it up. That's awesome.
It looks better. Because I was thinking, the people that work for NFL Network, they sit here and it probably looks a lot better when they're on the NFL Network. So I was thinking, what do they do? I was like, they probably sit closer to it. Sorry, I don't know.
At 36 minutes in, he was like, you know what? Fuck this, dude. We need to change this up. All right, bro. Jess, you are Jed York. You sat back quietly. You're probably the only person who we haven't heard from throughout the entire season. What are you going through in those press boxes? What's up?
Yeah, I think I do want to talk a little bit about the Kyle leadership thing from the perspective that Kyle was a young leader. And I do think a lot of young leaders make that mistake for when they get it the first time. It's like they want to be friends with these people. They want to be liked, but they also know that they got to lead. And they feel like, well, if I'm friends with these guys, then I'll get the best out of them. That's the best way. And then really what you find is over time, they start to take things for granted. They start to expect things. And when you don't deliver, all of a sudden you're a jerk and you just end up feeling bad about it. And so usually that's why I think Kyle would benefit from a reset and probably do a lot better. Not that he hasn't done a good job already, but he would do a much better job, I think, if he got another opportunity. But that does also start with Jed York. Think about Kyle coming in. He gets this job, and then all of a sudden he's got Jed, who's close to his age and wants to be buddy-buddy with him. It's like, well, I mean, if that's the culture here, then why can't I do it, right? So it kind of enables Kyle. And I think if I'm Jed, first of all, I'm just worried about the balance sheet. Like, am I making money or not? I'm also worried about next season. I've hiked up these ticket prices. Am I going to have a team that's competitive or at least perceived to be competitive enough to sell these things out? And do I have enough good players to go on the flyers every damn week to put on the seats for the 8 or 9 home games I'm going to have? I can't be throwing random Joe out there to head those flyers, the game day flyers out. Nobody's going to be excited for that. I got to have good players to go on the front of those things. So probably I'm trying to make sure that Brock Purdy's locked up and taken care of. I got to sell that to the fan base. And then, I got to know if we're going to be competitive and what is it going to take to be competitive. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be competitive so that I can make money on the back end. That's all I care about.
Good. So how serious are you about where you feel about Kyle? I mean, what is your last straw? Where's your line? When do you start thinking about getting rid of Kyle or moving forward?
Please don't fire me. I've always been your best friend, Jed. No one likes you. Everyone thinks you're weird, but I've been nice.
And this is the problem. This is why you two rascals are attached at the hip. It's not healthy. So look, are you even thinking about it this year? Has it crossed your mind? Have you started rolling out an exit strategy?
No, it hadn't. But I will say this: if we had lost our final 5 games and it looked disastrous, I would have started thinking about it. but they didn't. They just beat the Bears. Like, we just beat the Bears. We got 4 games left. I think we can look respectable these final 4 games. That's all I care about. And no, I'm not thinking about that. I mean, again, bottom line, money. How do I sell firing Kyle to the fan base? How do I sell firing Kyle to the next head coach? How the hell do I sell firing Kyle to my pocketbooks? I'm going to have to pay out $42 million for him not to be here. No thanks. I'm not even worried about firing Kyle right now.
Well, one parting question, Mr. York. How do you sell to your parents that you got duped by Kyle to sign Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, and Trent Williams over the summer as they're aging? You just said it yourself. Money is at the bottom line. Do you feel as though that you need to change anything with Kyle? So you're not worried at all as long as, we're winning? You don't want to start forecasting out, maybe we need to start forcing Kyle to change some things? You don't want to start bringing in anybody to look at possibly an offensive coordinator to come in here? What are you looking at for free agency? You know that the organization foots the bill on the draft. We're always the one bringing things together in the later days of the draft. Earlier in the draft, that's when Kyle and John do their worst or their best. I mean, are you trying to put any type of change or process into year 9? Or is it really just close the door, let Kyle go do his thing, and then come out with the baby? I don't care about the labor pains, because that's what it sounds like you're saying right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, me personally, I told you the changes I would make. I'd rip the Band-Aid off, I'd take a down year, and that would be that. But Jed, knowing that he cares about money, like, just put a winning product on the field. You guys have done it many times before. I trust you to do it again. If you can't, then maybe we're going to start having some conversations. But truth be told, I mean, come on, the season's going to end a little bit sooner. I want a vacation with these guys. I really like Kyle. Besides, he just schmoozed me in the office. So, yeah, I'm good to go.
He smoozed you in the office? Hey, yo, look, Kyle, what are you doing? You're schmoozing in the office?
Hey, man, I grew up in this industry, all right? I know what it takes.
Hey, look, wow. Okay, all right. Let's move on.
From time to time,
Yeah, I mean,
no Diddy.
I'll tell you this. It is all right. So obviously, I know, Jesse, that is not how you feel about the team, and you're doing your best Jed impression. But how alarming is that? Breaking the fourth wall. All right. How alarming is that after this season, you do believe that Jed is still, hey, business as usual, man. It's okay. We're moving forward. We've had some injuries. I'm really not worried about the contracts. We'll make it work. Kyle will find something to do in the draft to make things happen. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, at least put the Arnold Palmer down. Like, have a little bit of stress.
Yeah,
you just think that there's nothing.
Here's my thing is, like, it's funny because I've gotten to this point where when there's a segment of the fan base that is like going completely opposite of what I'm thinking, I'm like, man, how do these guys think this way? There's no way that you really believe that this is right. I tend to notice that the 49ers also tend to think that way. And I'm like, okay. So for me, it's like, I would love to think that the 49ers are just going to come out and they're going to make these changes and they're going to do this. I genuinely think the 49ers are looking at this a lot like the fan base, and maybe I'll be proved wrong this offseason, depending on how they handle some of these contracts and what have you. I genuinely think they're looking at it going, look, man, I don't know. We just had some injuries. Like, we'll be fine next year. I really think they believe that.
Go, Grant.
Real quick. If Kyle Shanahan loses to the Rams this Thursday and it's not close, I think Jed's going to be pissed.
Come on. Thank you.
I think he's going to be really pissed. Now, they just beat the Bears, and they might beat the Rams. They might go to the playoffs. But if they get eliminated from the playoffs at home on national television against the Rams, and it's one of those games that happened a couple of weeks ago, like in Green Bay or Buffalo, I'm not saying he'll get fired, but I'm saying, like, Jed could, like, leave at halftime, punch a hole in the wall. It's something we don't even know about, but Kyle, mess around and find out. You better keep that game competitive.
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, like a little bit of fire. You got Jed completely walking in with the diaper on, man. Like,
I think
something,
it will
Jesse.
be competitive, though. I don't think they're going to get blown out. You're asking me pre-game what I'm thinking in this moment. Like I said, if the season goes south and they lose the Final Four and they're not competitive, of course my mindset would change. But right now, in this moment, coming off a win, they still got a slim chance, and they got a national TV game 2 days away. let's see how these things go. If they get blown out by the Rams and then 2 weeks later get blown out by the Lions and they go 0-4 or 1-3 down the stretch, certainly I could see Jed like, all right. But right in this moment, no, I don't think so.
Yep.
All right,
I love it, man. There's a lot
I do. I still like the fact that they still managed to make the season interesting all the way down into week 15.
Hell yeah.
Good on you guys.
Which is why I kind of want them to win on Thursday. It's like, I want these games to keep mattering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel the same exact way. Like, I do not want them to lose. Like, come on. Let's get to some super chats, guys. Dave Barclay, has my opinion never wavered? He's going to lose through. He's going to lose Thursday. You think he's going to lose Thursday? All right. Gammon Brown, St. Jude's Hospital. That's awesome, Gammon. Sir Cash Money, y'all need to talk some sense into Jesse. Yesterday night, he was pulling some Doctor Strange moves, trying to find a way the 49ers will make the playoffs. No, I think he was giving all of the ways that the Niners are practically screwed, because he had that conversation with me on the phone. Dave Barclay, I like Garindo better than Fernando. Definitely. Go ahead. You want to hit it, Grant? I saw you pulling up the mic.
Can play running back, and Fernando was not a running back.
Whoever
Fernando was.
Isaac Garindo be having some. Isaac Garindo got a lot of fake supporters. There's some people, Larry, who said that he wasn't a running back. Now all of a sudden he's a running back. You just need to put him in space. I'm gonna call it. Yo, Larry, you be wrong, bro. Dave Barclay.
What I like about Garindo is his potential as a receiver. I feel like he's just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
He played his whole high school career as a receiver. All right.
Nice.
So Dave Barclay, some of us believe you four should split up Lyles $14 million a year and relieve him of his duties. So I wholeheartedly believe in you four. But G, could you be a fan again if they paid you 3.5?
If they paid me $3.5 million, I would be a fan of any team.
Come on, man.
Team, I'd be a fan of him. Absolutely.
Dog.
Why do you call him Lyle? Did you decide that Lyle is just a bad name?
L's, because he takes L's.
He takes L's.
Okay. I'm just saying. Like, there's probably like 7 Lyles watching this. Like, what? Me?
Grant, for 3.5 mil, Grant will be doing the sprints up and down the field with Jerry. You and Jerry be having races.
Shameless.
Yo, I'll tell you this. Look, Smack Jones, thank you. So, if he would have did this 3-4 games ago, we'll be a playoff team. This shit is sad. Also, we'll see how serious this team is after Thursday. That is true. There's something to be said about.
One hell of a drug.
Yo, there's something to be said about watching what this team did last Sunday. Like, if you think about it, it was bittersweet because everything and everybody that contributed has been here all year. All year. Dave Barclay.
Also, if it was like a fight, like it would have just been them pummeling the Bears from the very opening bell. It was very one-sided.
No, it was. You know what it was? Honestly speaking, it was a Niner win.
Yeah.
Get up early, dominate early, coast out the game. This is carbon copy what they do. If they get up on a team early and they hold that win, this is what they do. Starting slow is their problem. This super is for G to read tomorrow. Keep it up. If this season goes south, really called it, right, Dave?
He's saying it's already south, yeah.
Yeah. Travis Stewart, freaking love this show. Y'all rock, y'all rock. Travis is my guy, man. Thank you. All right, let's get into our next topic. Scapegoat watch on the coaching staff. With coaching pressure arising on the team, which coach and their unit is feeling the most heat for underperforming this season? I want you guys to look at elements of the team and what unit and what coach could be seen as this year's scapegoat. It ain't going to be Wilkes. It can't be Wilkes this year. So you got to find somebody else. And it damn sure ain't going to be Kyle. So I'll start with you, Ryan. Who is your unit and your coach that's looking over his shoulder as the year goes down, as the year dwindles down?
I mean, I think the easy one is special teams. You could also go Sorensen. But I talked this, and this may be a cop-out on his answer, but I feel like it's honestly the truth. And I talked about it with Grant on Monday. To me, the excuse that has been generated from Kyle directly and this fan base on the reason why the 49ers are struggling is because of a lot of trauma that they've been through this year, which is valid, but also like injuries, which is, context also. And you can't give that excuse to Kyle or the whole team as a whole if you're not going to give it to these individual coaches as well. So I struggle for them to find a justifiable scapegoat. Like, how can you come down on Sorensen for the way this defense is performing if you're like, hey, but we had a lot of injuries. We had a lot of, how can you do that? So that's why I almost think they're going to run it back with these dudes.
I agree.
Yeah, but who is your coach and your unit who you think is going to be scapegoated this year? You ain't sidestepping me, Hensley.
But what if I don't think there is? If there is one, I'll put it that way.
Here, let me step up. He's going to think for a second. I got one.
No.
I think there could be one.
Go
ahead. It's not going to be. It may not be Sorensen for the reason he just stated. It may not even. Well, Schneider's going to be gone.
Yeah, it's definitely Schneider.
What about Leonard Hankerson? Okay, I'm just saying that they've got nothing from Ricky Pearsall. Nothing. They won't play Jacob Cowing. Apparently, they think he's not ready. Deebo Samuel has fallen off.
Who's coaching Deebo Samuel?
Brandon Ayuk was not good before he went down. I mean, Jawan Jennings has been terrific, but that's one wide receiver, one on the whole freaking team. So maybe they feel, you know what, we need to get some development out of these young wide receivers. We may even take another one. Leonard, you had no experience coming into this position. You did play the position, and we wish you, a good future. But we need to have someone with a little bit more experience, gravitas, whatever, because it seems like Wes Welker was much better.
Wes Welker would have been perfect for Pearsall, wouldn't he?
Yep, he would have been. He really would have been. Maybe they can get Julian Edelman.
I think Snyder is gone, though. But I just don't think it's justifiable. Was my point. Yeah.
You don't think it's justifiable for? Hold on, wait a minute. So you don't think it's justifiable for Coach Snyder to get up out of here?
It won't break my heart, but what I'm saying is, if Kyle has this excuse, if Sorensen has this excuse, how can you not give the same excuse to Schneider, who is running with backups that don't even play most of the time? It's the same issue, right? That Kyle's copping out with, that Sorensen is copping out with. It's the same issue.
I mean, well, can you please give me the qualifications on a starting gunner? What's a starting up back? Who's the starting L5?
No, but what he would say is like, well, since there were so many injuries on offense and defense, we were constantly shuffling the players on our coverage units, and we didn't know we had 3 different kickers, we had 2 different punters. Like, that's what they would say, man. And they're probably going to use that excuse and get away with it. They're going to get away with it, Coach.
Ryan, I'm sorry. It's just frustrating. But all right. So
he is right though. I think he is right in the sense it's like, okay, well, if that's the excuse for the whole team, how come I don't get that excuse? That doesn't make any sense.
It's an overriding excuse.
And so I do understand that. I will say this though, I don't think that they're going to move on from him. But listening to Kyle talk about the defense and how he's happy with Sorensen and really, I mean, it's kind of this is where like the accountability thing started like a couple of weeks ago was, hey, maybe there's a philosophy change that needs to happen. Maybe that was Kyle finally saying, like, this wide 9 is trash. I've got to change it up. So the question now becomes, if that is the case and he changes it up, maybe Sorensen and even Chris Kosirik are on their way out, not because he doesn't like them or doesn't think that they would be good with this specific system, but if he does want a system change, can those guys coach that system change? And so maybe he can use it as like, guys, it's nothing against you. I love you guys here, but we're changing everything philosophy-wise, and it just doesn't fit what you guys bring to the table. We got to move on. So maybe that's a possibility. I can't see how you continue to do this wide 9, soft zone. It doesn't work anymore. And Kyle, I think, is starting to see that, or at least based off his comments, I felt like he was starting to see that.
So the theme of the offseason is Kyle breaking up with his buddies?
Okay. So wait a minute. Let me corral this thing in. So outside of Leonard Hankerson, that's the only person that you guys can find any type of culpability for the way this season has been moving. Are we serious right now?
You're asking us who the scapegoat is.
You're saying, who's going
through the coaching staff, through the unit?
They're not going to do one. They're not going to scapegoat someone.
None of these guys are doing a good job.
All right. Okay. So basically, I mean, quite frankly, what you guys are saying to me is that, Coach, we understand your question, but it's not based in reality. So we're refusing to answer your question.
Well, what they will do and what they should do are two different.
Where we do that at? It's takes.
So what they will do is nothing. What they should do is they should fire all the coaches. Hire me. Give me $15 million a year. I'll be good, man. That's what they should do. But that's a different question, Coach. You're NASAC.
So all of you guys, so you know what this is? I feel like y'all. I can't even believe this, man. I'm sitting here talking to my dogs right now. So y'all scared to bring up.
What do you think they're gonna do?
Y'all scared to bring up Coach Kasarik? Y'all
No,
scared to say his name? Why you scared to say his name? What you scared of? What you scared
Really
of?
not listening to anything I just said. Is this thing on?
You scared to say Coach Kasarik's name? Y'all scared? What you scared for?
Hello.
Nobody's
What you
scared.
scared for?
Here's the thing. Nobody's scared, but Wilkes was the scapegoat.
Nobody want to talk
year.
about Bobby Turner. Nobody wants to talk about how hard it is to get running backs on the field. Possibly we could bring in another. What y'all scared for?
Nobody's scared. I'm trying to explain to you where we're coming from. Steve Wilkes was the scapegoat.
I'm just saying.
Last year.
Just shaking some shit up. It seemed y'all like y'all shaking in your boots over here. Go ahead, Ryan.
Turn it back on you. Let's turn it back on you, the host.
Sir. I was trying to explain it, sir.
Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
Wilkes was the scapegoat last year, correct? Meaning they blamed everything on Wilkes and they fired him, right? So you're asking us who's going to be the scapegoat this year, and we're saying that they really can't have a scapegoat because all of them aren't doing good and they all have the injury excuse.
Yeah,
right?
they don't
As
need a
context.
scapegoat. They have an excuse.
Now, if you're asking
They
us
don't need
who
a scapegoat.
deserves to be fired, we look at that as a different question, I think.
Yeah, and Coach, I want to turn it on you. Who do you predict will get scapegoated for this season? Prediction time, because this is being recorded. We can go back and watch this in a few months.
Honestly, I think that it's going to be a two-way thing. I think that my boy, the quarterback's coach, is going to leave. He's going to go ahead and take on an offensive coordinator. Yeah, he's going to take an offensive coordinator job or a college job and leave out of here. I think there's going to be a lot of shakeup because honestly, I think that the biggest thing with Kyle and Brock is that Kyle thinks that Brock is a little too protected with Coach Greasy and the guys that have found Brock that are still in the building that are pretty much attached to the success that he had early on. I think there's going to be a huge shakeup in the offense, and Kyle's going to be able to use that to bring in different guys. There's the reason why I believe Coach Kubiak is here, so he can start pointing out some things that need to happen, need to switch up in the offense. I think there may be a move on. They may move on from Brian Fleury, the tight ends coach. I mean, he's supposed to be this offensive guy in waiting, but outside of George Kittle, what have we done with tight ends? Like, what have we done outside of George Kittle with tight ends? Absolutely nothing.
What did Ross Dwelly ever do to you, and why do you feel like you need to take a shot?
You really can't. You think that everythght is about Ross Dwelly, son.
I don't understand why you needed to do that.
It's not about Ross Dwelly. I'm just saying that the tight ends room has been dog water. It's been dog water.
Him and Kittle, I would agree with that.
No. Kittle.
Is that a personnel issue, though?
No. Ross Dwelly was the original guy who never got an opportunity. Every time they threw him the ball, he caught it. Every single time. He was the original Juwan
when he was
Jennings,
3 yards away from the goal line.
Doesn't matter. Those could have been touchdowns on first and goal from the 3. I'm just saying there's a role for a guy who runs a 5.2 flat. There's a role for that on your team. And, it's too bad that the NFL never appreciated Ross Dwelly. Maybe in 100 years, people will look back and be like, this guy, every advanced metric says that he would have been a Hall of Famer had he just been given the ops. That tweet? You know that tweet that Deebo put out? That was originally a Ross Dwelly tweet. He just never really he kept it in the drafts.
He's in the drafts, yeah.
Not struggling.
That was on accident, Salt and Pepper. My bad. I was trying to get the guy above you. I knew you were going to come back upset about that. I put somebody in timeout and it was above his comment. My bad. So let's get the last super chat out of the way and get up out of here, guys, because we're coming up on a solid hour. Was Bosa's injury that serious?
Apparently.
Yeah. Is he due back?
He didn't talk in the locker room.
He didn't practice today.
Well, they practice. Oh, I should have been out there. Damn. Oops. I take my job really seriously, though, guys. I'm here. They're practicing. I'm just on the 4-man front. Sorry.
Oh, what is he doing right now? Times are times, bro.
Yeah, my bad. I mean,
you forgot about this show?
No, I knew about it. I just had a choice to make. Should I go to practice or should I be in the 4-man front? And I chose the 4-man front because this is serious. This is serious.
I love the way you quietly sacrifice. I love that. How you sacrifice and nobody knows
about it. No one needs.
I think that's one of your most endearing qualities. How you do things for others and haphazardly spread that out.
It's kind of like how Fred Warner mistakenly told us about his broken ankle. Didn't mean
exactly. This is you telling us about your broken ankle.
See, what's happening right now is that Jesse's kids are staying up past their bedtime, and he's getting upset because they need to be in bed now.
Dude, we've got
creating precedents in their household.
So wait a minute. You waited 36 minutes to change your freaking camera angle, and you couldn't wait 10 seconds for the show to be over to talk about how you had to sacrifice to be on it. Great timing, Grant. Let me get the super chat out the way. Blur your eyes a little, chat. What do you see? Carl Winslow, Chris Pratt, Tim Tebow, and Shohei Ohtani. Thank you. We'll close with that. Love you guys.
No, Frisco Show.
Awesome
Frisco
timing
Show.
all the way
Frisco.
around. Grant.
Frisco.